Okay, so hey there guys, so today's video is going to be a palette review on the Haus Laboratories Stupid Love eyeshadow palette. I haven't done an eyeshadow palette review in a few months, and I was actually really surprised that I hadn't done one in a while, and I was looking through my videos and I'm like, I haven't done a dedicated palette review to a new palette that I've gotten this year yet. And the last time I actually did a palette review was the Urban Decay Naked Honey palette back in like October. I'm like, girl, you're like way overdue for a palette review, so let's do this. So I'm going to be reviewing the new Haus Laboratories Stupid Love eyeshadow palette. So this is the outer packaging. It's a little bit bright and metallic, so I don't want to blind you guys. So the back lists all of the ingredients on the box. And basically it breaks down every single shade, which is really, really cool. I'm glad that they're really transparent about that. That's a really good thing that she's doing, because a lot of people have a lot of concerns about products and ingredients these days, and they want to make sure that none of these eyeshadows irritate your eyes or are safe to use on the eyes. So that's really interesting. I really love that, actually. And it says you can get this palette at hauslabs.com, and it has a 12-month shelf life. So we're going to open up the box, and the inner packaging has the same metallic packaging. I'm just holding it wrong. It's just that the inner packaging has black writing of the stupid, and the outer packaging for the box has it in pink. So that is the difference between that. So this is what the inner packaging looks like. It has that metallic coating again, and then on the back it says all of the shade names. So again, I'm not going to hold it up too long because I don't want to blind you guys, but it basically just lists all the shades left to right. So this palette retails, I believe, for $48 to $49 on hauslaboratories.com. You can get or on hauslabs.com. So I bought mine on hauslabs.com. And also you can get it through Amazon. Her first launch with her cosmetics line, it was exclusively through Amazon, and a lot of people were annoyed about that. Now I think with every launch that she's doing, it's available on her website as well as Amazon. But the original launch of like the glitters and the lipsticks, those were only available exclusively on Amazon.com to pre-order, and then it was like 3 months later that you could actually purchase them on Haus Laboratories when they actually launched. So just keep that in mind. But now this is available on her website. It was sold out a couple days back. I bought mine the day that it launched. I bought it exactly the time that it launched because I had a feeling it was going to sell out. It took like 2 or 3 days to sell out. But it was sold out by, it launched on a Friday, and it was sold out by Monday because it was the week before Chromatica was coming out. So she came out with this palette, and also she had also come out with the Rain on Me single, I think almost the same day. I don't know if it was a Friday that this came out. I think it was a Friday, and now it's raining, so yay. I think it was a Friday, and then it sold out by a Monday, and I received it by Wednesday that week. So it was pretty fast shipping. I only waited about 4 or 5 days, which is pretty fast shipping due to all the shipping delays right now because of the coronavirus. So I received it relatively quickly, even though it told me that I wasn't going to receive it until almost Saturday or Sunday that week. It came way faster, so I appreciated that. And then when you open it up, it comes with this really big mirror, and the only thing that I don't like is that you can't fold it over completely. I do like doing that with my bigger palettes. And then it comes with this sick insert of Gaga, and I love this. I'm never going to get rid of it. I think it's such a cool way to aesthetically please your customers, because I think this is awesome, and I kind of want to recreate this look at one point. So, and then when you take off the insert, it reveals the eyeshadows, and we have 18 eyeshadows in this palette. So you have 6 eyeshadows in each row, and we're going to go through all of the shades, and then we're going to swatch all of them for you guys. So I'm just going to go through the rows and tell you guys the names first. So I'm going to start up here. So we have 911, Free Woman, Enigma, 1,000 Doves, Plastic Dolls, and Stupid Love. Then we have Light Up, Sign, Rain on Me, Alice, Sour Candy, and Enemy. And then the bottom row, we have Peace, Fun Tonight, Motion, Replay, My Mind, and Babylon. Now, I'm going to do all of the swatches first, and then I will share my thoughts because I have been able to try out all of the shades for you guys. I never do a review unless I have tried all the shades out on my eyes, and I've tried out every single shade. It took me about a week and a half to try out the whole palette, but I have been using this palette since I got it, so this is the only palette I've been using so I could do a dedicated review. So we're going to start with 911. I think I'm going to do the swatches on my arm. I'm going to take off my jewelry, and I'm going to do the swatches on my arm this time because I always do it on the back of my hand, but I never feel like that shows what it actually looks like. So we're going to start with 911, and I'm going to do all the swatches with my fingers. So 911 is a really, really nice white, pure white matte shade. So this is a really good shade for fair skin tones to use as like a brow bone highlights or a setting shade before you go in with the other shadows, like when you do like your eye primer. So you can actually see that it swatches pretty good on my skin tone because I thought it wasn't going to really show up too much at all. So this one is called 911. I'm not exactly sure why she made 911 a white shade. Maybe it has something to do with drug use and you know what I don't want to be flagged for saying that in this video, but if you listen to the song, you'll understand why. I don't really understand why she made it white, but that might be the reason why. So just keep that in mind. Okay, then the next shade is called Free Woman, and this one is a really beautiful metallic silver. And Free Woman's one of my favorite songs besides 911 on the album, and this is a really pretty silver. I think that some of the shimmers in this palette aren't the best, but I think that this is a decent silver. I definitely have better silvers in my collection, but with this one, it built up really nicely on the eyes. I just did have a couple of problems with transfer, and it was crumbling a little bit, but honestly, nothing too crazy. I think it still applied really nicely, so I did like that shade. Okay, then the next matte is called Enigma, and this is where we start diving into some of the blues. So this one is a light blue shade. And it swatches really nicely too. It's very nice and soft. I find that the mattes in here are really nice and soft, and that's what Enigma looks like. It doesn't swatch as opaquely as it does on the eyes. Like, I feel like the swatches for this palette don't really do it justice because when you use the mattes on the eyes, they blend really beautifully. I do like the mattes a lot in here. I thought that the original palette that she launched, which was the Glam Room 1 palette, had really nice mattes in there. And I think that the mattes are just as good in here. So this one is Enigma. Enigma is actually my least favorite song on the album, but I am glad that she finally released something with some color because a lot of people were kind of like, you know, Gaga, you're known for being extravagant and colorful. When you're going to release something colorful? So I'm glad that she finally did that. Okay, so the next shade in the palette is called 1000 Doves. And it's a really soft pink shimmer. Now with this shade, I find that it really is very hard to build up, and it's almost kind of just like a glitter topper. Like, as you guys can see, it doesn't have much pigment to it. This one I find is probably the hardest to work with. It doesn't really pick up all that well. It is kind of very subdued, but that can be pretty as an eyeshadow topper. So I'd probably use it that way, but there's not really much pigment. When I swatch it in person, it just looks like some pink glitter, and it's not really pigmented at all. So, and it's very hard to pick up and get onto the eyes. So that would be my first dud shade. But I will tell you guys my overall thoughts on every shade once I'm done swatching them. Okay, so the next shade we have is, again, in that pale pink, family, and the next shade is called Plastic Doll. And that kind of reminds me of like a Barbie vibe because she made this shade a pink shade. So this is Plastic Doll. Again, this mattes swatch really, really nicely, and I really love using this shade as a transition shade or just a base crease shade. It blends really beautifully and applies really nicely. So again, the mattes are beautiful in this palette. And then the last shade in this row is called Stupid Love, which is the signature shade in this palette because the palette's called Stupid Love. So this one is Stupid Love, and this is a really pretty, like, kind of pinky brown. And a lot of people were wondering why there wasn't more pink in this palette, because obviously the theme of Chromatica and Stupid Love, the music video, it's very pink themed. I mean, hello, she's wearing a pink wig in the promo photo, and pink is a overall theme in Chromatica. I think the reason why she made the shade Stupid Love, I'm just going to hold my arm here because it is a little bit annoying to hold my arm up the whole time. Stupid Love is, I feel like it's more like an everyday shade because I think that she wanted people to use it like every day. And I think that's why it was smarter for her to make it kind of like an everyday matte brown and not something that was too pink. And I kind of like that 1,000 Doves and Plastic Doll are more like pale pinks. But I'm kind of wondering why she didn't put a hot pink in this palette, but it wouldn't have exactly worked for this color scheme. So that's why I like the definition that she has and the cohesiveness and pops of color with blue rather than pink. So now we're going to go into the second row, and the first shade in the second row is called Light Up. And this is kind of a interesting shade. It doesn't exactly swatch that well either. Again, these shades don't really swatch that great. They kind of just apply to the eyes a lot better. So that one is Light Up. And again, you're not really going to see too much of it because, again, it just doesn't really swatch that great. But when you look at it in person, it has really pretty purple glitters in it. It's like white and purple glitters. I'm going to put my hand down because my hand is already annoying me. It's like killing me. I don't know how people hold their hands up like this the whole time when they're swatching something. But for this shade, I really like how it looks on the lids. I don't really love it on the inner corners. That's the one I'm wearing on my inner corners today. And it is kind of very hard to build up on the inner corners. It doesn't really pick up that great. It is, again, the shimmers are a very dry formula in this palette. I kind of wish they were, you know, a little bit more buttery and just a little bit more wet feeling. But it's a really pretty shade because it ends up being like, it kind of transforms on your lids. You think it's just a white shimmer shade, but when you actually put it on your lids, it's kind of like a white purple duochrome, and it's really stunning. So I actually really enjoyed it on my lids. So now I'm going to wipe these swatches off. Maybe I'll use my other arm and give this arm a rest because it's not like it's that difficult for me to swatch with my left hand. So I'm going to take off my jewelry again, and we're going to go with this arm because it's getting too annoying for me to hold up my left arm right now. So the next shade we have is another beautiful blue. It's like this royal blue shade, and this one is called Sign. And this one is the collab that she did with Elton John. All right, I'm going to get that to be swatched a little bit better. Okay, that's better. And it's this really, really pretty matte blue shade. Again, these swatches don't really do it justice. This is one of my favorite songs on the album. I think that this collab knocked it out of the park for me. This is definitely one of the best collabs that she's ever done. And the song was so unexpected, and I feel like I'm so happy that she made this shade like a colorful shade because it's a very unexpected shade, and it's such a beautiful royal blue, and it really blends out beautifully on the eye. So I really enjoy that shade as well. Okay, then the next shade is called Rain on Me, and this one is the, of course, collab that she did with Ariana Grande. And this one is, again, kind of hard to swatch, but on the fingers, it's a really pretty, like, blue duochrome shade. And again, this shade was actually really pretty on the lids. So that one is Rain on Me. Again, it doesn't really swatch that great, but it is really pretty on the eyes. All right, I think we're going to go back to my other hand because these swatches aren't that great. Sorry. Okay. But you guys saw it, and you guys saw what it looked like. If you need me to swatch it again at the end, I mean, not like you're going to be able to tell me. Okay, so then the next shade is called Alice. And this one is kind of similar to the formula of Free Woman. There's a couple of different shimmer formulas in this palette. This is more of like a metallic. And this one is quite crumbly, but it is a really pretty, like, glittery blue shimmer shade. And again, it builds up really nicely on the eyes. But I had the same problem with this one as I did with Free Woman. It does transfer to the crease a lot, so just keep that in mind. All right, I think I'm just gonna do hand swatches. I'm sorry, my arm is getting really tired. I'm sorry about that. Okay, but those were mostly the shades that are very hard to swatch. The rest of them aren't as hard to swatch. So then the next shade, and Alice is my favorite song on the album. I also really love Rain on Me. Okay, then the next shade in this row is called Sour Candy, and this is the one I'm wearing all over my lid today. It's a really beautiful, like orangey metallic shade. I'm going to swatch it here. Just suck it up, Caitlin. And again, this one doesn't really swatch that great. Like, honestly, the swatches, again, don't really do this palette justice. But it is a really pretty metallic orange, and I think that it built up really nicely with a glitter glue. And Sour Candy is a song that she did with Blackpink. Okay, then the last shade in this row is called Enemy, and this one is one of my favorite mattes in the palette because it's this gorgeous orange. And Enemy, okay, that actually swatches pretty good on my hand. Wow, that's super soft. That was like one swipe pigmentation. This one is so beautiful in the crease. I was so impressed with this shade when I first used it because it was just like 2 swipes in the crease and it was already in my crease, like super pigmented. So that shade really impressed me. And Enemy is like one of the lyrics in 911. My biggest enemy is me, Papa 911. So that one is Enemy, and that's why I like that she made it like a bright orange, because white and orange for 911. Okay, then we are getting into the last row of shades, and these are a couple of really fun shades. So the first shade in this row is called Peace, and this is a really gorgeous teal matte shade. And Peace is in, I believe, Stupid Love, like Find Your Inner Peace kind of thing. Look how beautiful that shade is. It's such a gorgeous teal. It's really, really pretty. That one, again, all of the mattes, I would say, are great in this palette. I find that the blues have less kick up than the like more neutral shades, so just keep that in mind. But they do blend out really nicely on the eyes. A lot of people have been enjoying the mattes in this palette more than the shimmers. Okay, then the next shade in this row is called Fun Tonight. And I really like this song on the album as well. And I think that this shimmer is really, really pretty, actually. It's a really gorgeous, like, tealish blue shade. And I really enjoyed this shade on my lids. I thought it built up really nicely. And I felt that this one was more of, like, a wet formula. And I thought that this shade was the one that performed really nicely on the lids. So I think that's probably my favorite shimmer that I've used besides Sour Candy. Okay, then we get into a black. And this one is called Motion. I forget where she says motion in the album. I'm sorry about that. But I think that she does blacks beautifully. And I think that she really has perfected black, because in her Glam Room 1 palette, the black in there is beautiful. I really want to compare those two in this video. But this swatches so smoothly, and it's really pretty because it has like multi-glitters in it, and it has like purple and white glitters in it. So it's a really pretty shade as well. It blends out really nicely. I love using it for more colorful looks. Okay, we got 3 more shades to go. So the next shade in this palette is called Replay. And this one is like a purple shimmer. It's not really too shimmery. Honestly, I wish this was a lot more shimmery because I found that this shade was pretty hard to pick up and it doesn't swatch that great. It looks pretty though. But I was able to try this one out yesterday. This was the last shade that I needed to try out. And I didn't love it. Replay is one of my favorite songs on the album too, so I was kind of hoping that I would love this shade because I love that song. Oh, it's so good. If you guys don't like Replay, you need to listen to it again because it's a great song. Just saying. But of course you can like what we all have our own preference about the album, so you don't have to like every song that I do, but it is a great song. But I just wish that this shade was a bit more purple. This one was probably my least favorite besides 1,000 Doves. This one is definitely the other dud for me. And then we got 2 more shades to go. So the next one is the last matte in the palette, and this one is called My Mind. And that lyric is in Alice when she says, "Where's my body? I'm stuck in my mind." I'm pretty sure that's the lyric. Which again, Alice is one of my favorite songs on the album. It actually is my favorite song on the album. And this is a really beautiful, cool toned brown. And this one I use pretty much every single day on the outer corners. And that's what I have on my outer corners today, not inner corners. I will go over what I have on my eyes in just a second. We just have one last shade, and that one is called Babylon. And Babylon is probably the best shimmer in here. I don't know why the other shimmers aren't similar to this one, like 1,000 Doves and Light Up, and Sour Candy is good. I think the Sour Candy one is great. I like that shimmer. But Light Up and 1,000 Doves are much more hard pan and much more harder to pick up. But I wish that more of the shimmers were like this one because a lot of people like this one more than the other shimmers. Like when I was watching Tara Babe's review of the palette, she said that this was the best picked up shimmer. But Babylon is the last song on the album, and it's about, battle for your life, babble on. So it's like babble on, but the song is called Babylon. So it's like a play on words. But this is a really beautiful shimmery brown. I definitely love that on the lid as well. So that is all of the shades in the palette. So we got Enemy, Peace, Fun Tonight, Rain on Me, Emotion, and then we have Replay, My Mind, and Babylon. And then I'll re-swatch the other shades for you guys. Actually, it's going to mess up the swatches if I do it on my hand again, so I'm sorry about that, but I think you guys got the gist of what my favorite shades are and what aren't. So now I'm going to go over what's on my eyes. So I have Enemy all in my crease. I didn't use a transition shade because I find that I don't need one for this palette. This shade is super pigmented and it applies beautifully by itself. Then I put Stupid Love as my defining shade in my crease, and I use this shade pretty much every single time I use this palette because I'm gonna hold it like this because my left hand hurts now from holding it up for so long. Stupid Love is pretty much the shade that I use every single time I use this palette. It's a really beautiful crease shade, defining shade, lower lash line shade. It's just a very versatile, useful, everyday shade. Then I have my mind on my outer corners. I use this like every time I use this palette on my outer corners. If I do a colorful look, I'm using the black shade, but if I'm doing a neutral look, I'm using this shade, and it's a really beautiful outer corner shade. And then, like I said, all over my lid, I have Sour Candy. And I pretty much did this look in my first impressions Get Ready With Me, so I can leave that linked below for you guys. If you guys want to see how I did this look, I'll just leave that linked below because it's basically the same look. Because I had rotated all the shadows already, and I wanted to go back to the first shade because I want to use them again. So Sour Candy's all over my lid, and then of course on my brow bone, I use this every time I use this palette, and that shade is 911. It's a really beautiful matte white shade, and it just works with every look in this palette. So I'm actually really glad this shade is in here, that they have a white and a black. I can appreciate that. A lot of people love whites and blacks, at least one white and black in every single palette that they have. For me, black isn't really essential for me. I would much rather just have the white and maybe replace this with something else, but it's a great shade to have as a defining shade or adding more definition to a colorful look. And then for the lower lash line, I just put Enemy all over the lower lash line because I love it by itself. And then for the inner corners, I put Light Up and a tiny bit of 1,000 Doves. And that's pretty much it. So now I want to say my thoughts on the palette. For me, I like this palette. I think that it's better than what people are saying. But for me, I might be biased. I'm not really sure because I love Gaga. But I know if I like a palette or not. And I do like this palette. I think it's a good palette. I think that if you are a Gaga fan, it's going to be a great addition to your makeup collection. If you've been wanting to try out her brand and you've been waiting for her to do something a little bit more interesting, I think that this would be the time to try something because I think the palette is really, really nice. And I do think it's worth the money. I think it's worth $48. The thing that annoys me about her website is that you have to spend $50 to get free shipping. So if you were someone that just wanted to order the palette, you would still have to buy something else in order to get free shipping. Don't fall for that because paying $5 for shipping is still going to save you more money than buying something else with the palette. For me, I got the free shipping because I wanted to try out one of the matte lip crayons. So I haven't tried out any of her lip products yet, so I wanted to order that with the palette. So it was still like $65, $70 for the whole order, but I wanted to spend the money. But if you want to just get the palette and pay for the shipping because that is always a way for companies to get more money and not for the shipping companies to get the shipping money, because that is the thing that annoys me about our website because I think it's $50 or more and most of her stuff is priced at like $49 or like, and then it doesn't count free shipping until before tax. It doesn't count it after tax. So if it makes it $50 with tax, you're still paying for shipping because it's $49. That's the only thing I would keep in mind. And I would say I don't love some of the shimmers in this palette. Replay is definitely disappointing. I was really looking forward to using this shade because I thought it was going to be a beautiful purpley shimmer on my lid, but I don't really love it. It took a lot of building up. But I will say the difference between these shimmers and the ones in the Ace Beauté palette is that these stick, you do need to build them up. Some of them you need to build them up, but they do eventually give you full swipe pigmentation built up. So this palette does take a little bit more work and a little bit more extra time. I know some people are very impatient with that, or they're just in a rush and they need to get out the door. So just keep that in mind. This palette I wouldn't reach for to do like an everyday look. Maybe if you use Sour Candy or Babylon, those two shades are going to give you shimmer one swipe pigmentation, especially Babylon. Not one swipe pigmentation, but they don't take as much building up as some of the other shimmers do. And then the other shade, I think 1,000 Doves is extremely disappointing. It is so hard pressed and it's so hard to pick up. And I don't love it on my lid. I was hoping it was going to be this really beautiful like pinky shimmer. And I didn't really get that effect on my lid. So that one was disappointing. And then Light Up. Even though I like Light Up more than these two shades, I think that it's very hard to pick up. It overall has a beautiful effect on the lids. I love it on the lids. But I wouldn't recommend using any of these shimmers with a brush because you're not going to get them to pick up pretty much at all. I would use my finger to get the pigmentation that you want, or the pigmentation that you desire on your lids. And I would use a glitter glue. I think I would 100% recommend a glitter glue with this. I know some people don't use a glitter glue every single day because, you know, they don't want to go through the hassle. But I find that using a glitter glue always gives me better pigmentation with any eyeshadow regardless. I use a glitter glue every single day because I always think it brings out the pigmentation way better than like wetting a shadow. But when I tried to wet this shadow to get it to pick up better on my inner corners, it didn't do anything. So just keep in mind that the shimmers have a very dry formula, but that can be a good thing because some of these shimmers don't transfer at all to my crease. And I can really appreciate that, and that's why I like the palette more than some of my other palettes, because some of my palettes that have really metallic shades in them means that you're going to have a ton of transfer to your crease. So sometimes I don't always want it to be super wet or super shimmery, because that can cause a lot of transfer. I think that the shades Babylon, Sour Candy, Rain on Me, Fun Tonight have really good formulas, because they really just stick to your lid and then they don't go anywhere. Like, you don't really get transfer by like looking up or having it crumble or anything like that. So I really do appreciate that about this palette. So that's why the dry formula can be a good thing. Alice and Free Woman are a bit crumbly and can transfer quite a bit, and so can Light Up, so just keep that in mind. But the rest of the shades, even Replay has a decent formula, so it won't really transfer to your crease. And I find that to be the problem with a lot of purples that I have. So I think that's pretty much everything that I wanted to cover about the palette. Oh yeah, one more thing. I think that the mattes in here have more kick up than the original Glam Room 1 palette. Just keep that in mind. For me, it doesn't really bother me. They're just powdery mattes, but they blend, and they blend really beautifully. So I think that she's really nailed her matte formula. I think she needs to work on her shimmer formula more still. I prefer the shimmer formula in the First I said Glam Room, and then I said Glam. The Glam Room 1 palette, I prefer the shimmer formula in there as opposed to this palette. So now I'm going to swatch the 2 black shades for you guys, and then I think that's everything that I wanted to cover in this video. Let me just grab that super quick. Oh, and also, before I do that, I just wanted to say a lot of people were surprised that this palette wasn't really more pink themed. But I think it's interesting that she made it a little bit different, because with Gaga, she's unexpected. She's going to make things different. And with Chromatica, it's not just all about pink. Like, I'm glad that she added some pinks. I feel like it should have had maybe Replay should have been replaced with like a pink shade. But again, the purple does go better with the blues than a pink shade would. So I think the color scheme was really brilliantly executed. I think that it's very pleasing to the eye, and it does give you a lot of options, and I really love how versatile this palette is. It's probably one of the most versatile palettes that I picked up this year. So now I'm going to swatch the 2 blacks for you guys. So this is the Glam Room 1 palette, and I love this palette. But there is a matte black in this palette, which is right here, and that one is called Top Hat, and this is a gorgeous black. This one is drier than I feel like the Motion shade is. This one's a lot butterier, but look how pigmented those are. So this one's Motion, and I actually think the black in the but look at that black in the Glam Room 1. I think the black in the Stupid Love palette's more pigmented and buttery, but look at those. Those are great blacks. And this, again, doesn't do this black justice. It looks a little bit faded, but it's a great black. So yeah, that is pretty much it, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Also, let me know if you guys are interested in picking up anything from her brand. I know her brand has been around for a little while now. This makes me excited for her to be releasing more products and expanding her line. I'm really excited to see what she does next. I think that this got people pumped to see what she's going to be doing next, because again, the first couple of launches were super safe. But I really enjoyed the Haus Laboratories palette, the first one. So I think I'm going to have to start collecting her palettes, because I've gotten both palettes that she's released so far, and I've been pretty happy with both of them. So let me know if you guys picked up this palette. What was your initial thoughts on it? I think that the blues in here are fantastic. These 3 blues are beautiful. So I can't wait to do some more looks for you guys on my channel with this palette. I've just been waiting for my new Apple laptop to come, but I really wanted to film the review for this palette before I did more tutorials with it. And also this is an easier video for me to edit and just put up rather than doing a 3 looks 1 palette. But I'm really excited to see what she does next. I'm really hoping that she comes out with highlights and blushes and foundations and stuff like that, because I'm probably going to have to try everything that she comes out with, because I am a massive, massive Gaga fan. I've been a Gaga fan for so long. So please let me know your thoughts on this palette. Let me know if you guys picked it up. Let me know what you guys have been thinking. Have you been using it? What do you think of it? Please let me know. And please let me know what you think of her brand overall. Do you think it's boring? Do you have no interest in it? Let me know if I've changed your perspective at all, to see if I got you interested in getting anything. I really would love to know. And also, what do you guys think of Chromatica? Please let me know. I'm not really too crazy about this album, but I've still been listening to it all day, every day. I want to still get my girl her streams. And I really do like it, but I'm not in love with it. But please let me know what your favorite song is and what your least favorite song is and all that. And let me know if you like the album. So yeah, I love you guys. Please like and subscribe. Follow me on all my social media. If you have any questions about the palette, please let me know in the comments below. Bye!